What up, everybody? Please wait 1 second. Forgot my camera was off. I got a new setup. Got to set it all up. I don't know if this is going to be where I want it to be. I'll make it work for now. Got to figure out how to set up my camera here. Gang, that'll work. Turn this light off. All right. We're going to get started in a few minutes, everybody. Please excuse me while I make the announcement and such. On both Instagram, this is worldwide. We're worldwide right now. We're not limited to just Rake Trades LLC members. I'm seeing it across the board. I think we gotta talk. We gotta have a conversation. So let me just post on this. Post the link. Do. Okay, starting up. Is that the Wendy? Where did you see Wendy? She's not here today, sadly. No, it's not the Wendy. Oh, that there in the chat. No, it's not the Wendy. But doesn't make her any less valuable of a Wendy. All right, let's get my screen loaded here. What up, Chuck? Appreciate you being on, brother. Appreciate you, everybody who's able to be on right now. Let me make sure that I got, where's my Zoom screen? Okay. This new monitor setup thing is fucking me up a little bit. Everyone can see my charts at the moment, though, correct? You can hear me all right? Okie dokie. Screen finally open again, aren't we? All right, well, we'll give a few more minutes just for people to trickle in here. I don't really anticipate that too many people are still trying to trade through this action, so I'm not too really worried about what's going to happen for the rest of the day. Completely honest with you, this is range chop. My assumption is that we'll close near the open. Whether that actually plays out and ends up being the case or not, we'll see. But the point of this meeting is much less technical than the typical trade review sessions that I go into, right? So first, we will review today's trades just very briefly. For me, I came into the day with a pre-market game plan that was relatively simple. For me, I wanted acceptance beneath the previous day's low on SPY, on QQQ, on the indexes in order to find a short position. Wasn't really too worried about individual stocks. Was more just looking at, hey, let's go back to the SPY. Hey, we got the SPY here. We have this huge bearish bar yesterday. Anything within yesterday's bearish bar, I don't really feel like touching, right? Because then on a daily chart, you're essentially just playing inside of the previous day's huge, disgusting candle. That had no appeal to me, not worth the stress, not worth the headache. So anything above yesterday's high, I'm not interested. The only plan that I would have had would be to find short entries beneath yesterday's low. But what I've clarified in my plan is that I want a trend, right? I want a downtrend to form. And then once a downtrend forms, I can start to find short entries that'll pay off. We didn't have a downtrend that formed. This was a slam down bar that happened very, very quickly, right? This auction all happened very, very fast. And then the move back up didn't really allow us to find a short entry because we get back above the open and this is not a clean trend beneath yesterday's low, right? So for me, my plan coming into the day is clean trend beneath yesterday's low. I will look to take shorts. We never got the clean trend. So shorts were never on the table for me, right? The only point in time that shorts became on the table for me were actually, and I brought this up in the chat as well, was actually over here. Once we had started to show some sort of price action beneath yesterday's low, you could have taken a look to shorts around here, possibly off of this failure bar here, but none of it was really that appealing. And for me, I was like way cashed and done for the day, right? And just walked away and just not even looking at it, right? Like the market to me was so unappealing by this point that even though, let me make sure to mute whoever that is. 1 second, please. I lose track of this little market. All right. Right. So for me, the plan was to find an entry beneath an acceptance on the previous day's low for shorts, right? And if I can't find that entry on this part of the plan, then just sit out. If we don't get a clean downtrend beneath it, just sit out or possibly find some sort of scalps, right? So in the other part of my trading plan this morning, I wrote out only scenario for not longs is some individual name has massive relative strength. We find an intraday uptrend to scalp. IDK the odds on this one, right? So all of a sudden, pre-market, right, we have the S&Ps and everything else kind of just in a little chop range near the bottom end of yesterday's range, kind of red, gapping down a little bit. And you have something like Meta, which before the bell just started to kind of rip, right? So for me, that offered a little bit of relative strength. Right, so what I would have been waiting for on Meta was either a break over the open, or I wanted enough criteria down at the lows to warrant a position, right? And exactly what happened during this green bar here warranted that position to me, right? We have Meta having some sort of strength pre-market when everything else is selling off. It gets a push up, it sells off, and gets a push beneath the previous day's low, right? From there, it actually fails to go lower from that point, right? But at this point in time, when it breaks beneath the low of the day, it should continue lower. We should continue down. Instead, we turn around and get a hammer candle. That's interesting to me, right? So for me, I looked at it as this was starting to turn and as SPY was starting to turn, I took an entry here on Meta calls, and it was a great entry. The only issue was it just moved really fucking fast. We got on voice chat for a little bit with it. I know for sure there were some people who missed it just because this one had some speed on it to it, but it was a good trade, right? There's nothing wrong with it. And I ended up trimming along the way and then was all out by right here, right? I believe it was somewhere during this bar. I let this one bar close, didn't immediately exit, but then pretty much exited. Even though we were above the open, I exited because at that point I was like, you know what? This is a harsh bar. The market's not really in our favor anymore. Just gonna call it and walk away, right? That's a nice trade. We had entered around 2, even the later fills around 215, 220. You catch that move to 350, 360, which is where I think my contracts might have hit like 390s, but I didn't trim it. I didn't sell any at 390s. You catch one of those a day or a couple of those a week, you're going to be set for the rest of your life, right? You really don't need much else, right? But it's when you start constantly aiming for more, you'll end up having some issues, right? So for me, we ended up cutting those ones there. And then I took another entry. This one was kind of stupid. I took an entry right here. We did trigger a 15-minute pattern that I'm a fan of, right? And then the problem was it just failed, right? So it failed, 15-minute pattern failed. We broke back beneath the opening print. And during this bar here, I closed my position. I don't know what the contracts are at. They might be fucking getting close towards break even. I know one of our other moderators, Jordan, actually scalped them on later in the day and got a nice gain off of them. Still, he's probably still in those. But for me, I took a loss. We entered 110 and exited like 8.80, right? Lost 30 cents a contract and gave back some of my winning profits. Am I happy about that? No, absolutely not, right? But you see the first trade, I didn't even trim until we had $50 per contract. Cab was able to capture a full dollar on the first one. For me, getting back 30 cents of that on a re-entry, given the conditions we had, I'm actually okay with it, right? Especially because for me on Meta, what I was looking at the time was, okay, if the market is able to hold and Meta can hold this pullback here, we can run back up towards 170s, right? So for me, risking 30, 40 cents on an options contract to potentially make $3 or $4 on the options contract, setting up to be like a 10-to-1 R if it had worked out, right? Now, obviously it didn't work out and I took a stop on it, but I have no fucking regrets, nor would I change. The only thing I would do differently is I might not play right back into this 5-minute bar here because it's not, an easy play back into. But in reality, that's part of the game, right? I found a good trade early this morning, and I took a mediocre trade and gave a little bit of money back. I'm happy I did it. No, would I do it again? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on how aggressive I'm willing to be that day. But this day I was clearly willing to put a little bit of risk on, right? Not a ton of risk, but I took a little bit and we gave some back. That's part of it. Now, that was a brief trade review. I'm not going to go too in depth over all the details and the nitty gritties and such, because that is really not the point of this webinar. It really isn't at all. The point of this is I am hearing more horror stories. We normally do trade reviews and psychology webinars, not every day, but most days after our markets in our group, right? But I'm seeing this in my Instagram DMs. I'm seeing this posted in some people in my chat. I'm seeing it in other chats. I'm seeing like some people got rocked today. They got rocked. And you know what? I hate to be this guy and call you out, but most of the people who got rocked were trading SPY. We're trading, more importantly, we're trading SPX. 90% of the people that I've talked to are trading SPX that got rocked. And if you are one of those people, I apologize if it sounds like I'm coming directly at you, but it's also time for some harsh love, right? Or some harsh, tough love, some harsh fucking critics in reality. I'm not checking the chat, by the way, throughout the duration of this. But I apologize because there's like literally 8 or 9 people I've talked to today. So this is not, do not think you are the only one that I'm talking to somebody specifically. But a lot of people struggling with SPX today. Whole lot of people. Does that surprise me? Absolutely not. Because there's a whole lot of reasons to try and either catch the big SPX short on this breakdown down here, right? Or an attempted breakdown that never actually breaks down. Or the big SPX long, because we're going to recover so much. We're so down from yesterday. When we break, it's going to be a massive move, right? In reality, what happened is most of you have some FOMO because yesterday SPX contracts made a giant move. And even if your rules stipulate that you shouldn't trade SPX, you traded SPX and you lost. That's what happened for the majority of you, right? In one way, shape, or another, you didn't play it yesterday, but you saw how far the premiums went. Or you did play it yesterday, but you sold instantly and you watched it go so far without you. That now all of a sudden your motherfucking FOMO has set in harder than it's ever set in before. And no matter what the market did today, to be completely honest with you, you were probably going to fuck it up by doing something on SPX that shouldn't have been done. Right? Now, are there those of you out there who have winning trades on SPX today? Absolutely. And I'm not saying that you can't. Sure, if you had played it as a range day and long the bottom and short the top, then you probably had a decent day, right? So I'm not saying it's not possible, but there's a lot of people out there whose account sizes shouldn't be allowing them to play SPX, and yet they're out here playing a shit ton of SPX, right? Now, let me talk a little bit about why I think SPX is the fucking devil, right? No matter what, at some point, as a successful SPX trader or unsuccessful SPX trader, doesn't really matter, you're going to go on massive tilt. Why? Because there's no way, this is not Pokemon. You can't catch them all. And there is no other stock or option or whatever the fuck you want to call it, that's your index that trades 0 days every single day, right? It makes thousands of % moves every single day. Is that good for you as a trader? Sure, in some senses, it's like, yeah, the volatility is fucking awesome. And like, oh, I can make so much. Jake, it's quick scalp. I can make so much. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but literally, no matter what, always, at the end of time, eventually, SPX is going to win, bruh. SPX is going to win. It's going to fucking win because there's going to be a day like yesterday where you sold your puts so early, right, that you either FOMO into some shitty trading the next day, or you spend all goddamn day trying to buy the dip on it like this, because in your head, you're thinking, man, I've seen SPX contracts go from like 20 cents to $20 before. It's okay. I'll just average down. I'll just average down. I'll just average down, right? There's literally infinite ways that you can fuck up and go on tilt when you're trading this name, right? So again, I don't want to be like a negative fucking Nancy over here, but the reality is, to be a successful trader, you need to be in the top 6% of the world in patience and discipline to be a successful trader. To be a successful small account trader, you have to be in the top 3% of the world when it comes to patience and discipline. How else can you manage a $1,000 account if you're not extremely patient and fucking disciplined? Right? If you want to be a successful SPX 0 DTE options trader, you have to be in the top 0.1% of the fucking world in patience, discipline, ability to cut. I'm not that. Hell no. I cut SPX out of my life a while ago. There's a few people I know who are very successful with it regularly, and even they go on tilt sometimes. Everybody who go, how can you fucking not? It's SPX. Literally, how can you not go on tilt with every exchange? How many times have we seen an SPX contract go from 2 to 50? $200 to $5 grand, Like 3 times a week, probably. Right? How many times have you sold SPX and then later that day you look back at the P&L sheet, it's like, holy shit, if I had held, it would be what? How many times have you averaged down on SPX, convinced yourself that it's going to work for you to ultimately hold until it goes to 0? Like, I don't, like, it's like, for some of you, and even myself included in this, like, I'm talking to you all, but I'm also talking to myself as much as anything, right? Like, it's like you're like an abused, like, spouse in a relationship with someone who's physically abusive or like verbally abusive, but you can't stop going back to them because you are convinced in your head that you won't be successful unless you are trading SPX. You are convinced because you see the gains, you think about the potential, you feel the FOMO. No matter what, I will catch SPX today. Today will be the day. Well, let me tell you what, unless you catch the crazy move and have the discipline to withdraw that shit immediately and put it into some other investment where you can't deposit it back into your account, it doesn't fucking matter because you'll probably lose it eventually. Just to be completely frank with you. So I don't know. If you are one of the people out there who has found a rhythm on this, who is successful at this, who can do it, because there are people out there like fucking Hassan Rippy, one of my good friends, good brother. He's fucking go to this. He's great at it. I could never do it. I can never do it personally because it just puts me on tilt. And I don't think that the majority of traders out there have the patience and discipline to, on their own, consistently, regularly trade this name. I just don't. That's me being honest, right? And it sickens me to my fucking stomach when we have Zoom lessons or we harp on psychology and discipline and everything so much, right? And then I hear, stories of people blowing ports on SPX or taking big losses on SPX. It's just like, it's like, do you like being hurt? Right? Like, do you like being hurt? Right? Like, I think part of it is that like in your head, you haven't accepted the fact that you're going to make it and be a successful trader and that you can really do it. Right? Like, you haven't committed to the idea and the fact that, yeah, like you can do this. Like, it's fucking possible to do this. So instead, what you do is you look for the shortcut. What's the shortcut, fam? SPX. SPX. Now, there's going to be a few of you out there who are like, Jake, I'm consistently profitable on SPX, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, this does not apply to you then. If you can make money consistently on SPX and not blow your port doing it, then fucking do it because it's a powerful tool and I'm not discouraging you from doing that, right? If you have a proven track record of being able to do it consistently. Most don't, right? There's a very few number to that rule, right? Then there's going to be some people who are going to be Jake, but I really like only trading SPY because then I only have to look at one thing. I don't have to trade anything else. And I don't like the way the SPY premiums move and they still 0 days. So I don't like the temptation for that. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, then just fucking trade futures. Like what? Just trade ES. Trade NES, the micro versions of futures. Right? It's literally a risk, like a much more contained way to do it than trading SPX every day. If you want to only trade ES or SPX, or SPY, just trade the micro futures. Do Top Step. They'll give you money to trade with. Or go fund any futures broker with $1,000 and you can have way more leverage with that $1,000 than you ever could with options. Not advising you to use that leverage. I'm just saying people think SPX options are their only way. And it's like, have you heard of ES futures? It's a million times better. Have you heard of SPY? Like, have you heard of playing into, like, there's so many other ways to be successful at this that don't put you in the harm's way of going on a giant tilt every fucking day, right? So if you're like, Jake, what are futures? I want to learn more about them. I'm not going to give a feature-long presentation on them right now. My advice to you is go follow Finvestments LLC on Instagram. I'll repost them to my story after this. Go follow Ron G Trades. Both of them recently diving into more of a future, or actually Joel Finvestments has been doing it for a while. He has reels on his thing. He may post a reel today about futures. Go learn about futures. Talk to Joel. Ask him some questions, right? Talk to anybody who knows about futures. Google it, friends. Oh, somebody's talking again. No worries, I'll mute. Alfredo. right? If you really are convinced that you only want to trade SPX or SPY or ES every single day, no matter what, and you refuse to do it anything differently, then trade the futures, not the 0 day to expiration options, in my opinion. Cut out the theta, cut out the IV, cut out the premium bullshit. Just trade the fucking futures if you're going to be obsessed with it. I don't recommend that everybody does that. I think that for me, I teach trading individual stock names, right? Like that's part of my routine is looking for the best chart out there. I have a ton of students though who just trade SPY, or excuse me, they just trade the ES futures. They just trade SPY. That's all they do, right? Get the fuck away from SPX, everybody, right? Like the only time I personally trade SPX is when I lose on my first trade or two of the day, and then I'm trying to make it back. And in my head, I think, oh man, SPX is the way. It's if I catch this kind of move, I'll make it back with SPX. So I don't trade SPX. I just cut it out of my diet completely. I now here and then I'll put something lotto on, but hey, if I'm ever trading SPX in my main interactive brokerage account, usually it means something's gone wrong. Something's gone wrong. Right? So I haven't done that in a while, and I'm proud of that. Like, I don't know what else you all need to hear, but I'm going to drill this into your brains as much as possible. If you are consistently trading SPX, in my opinion, you do not have the confidence in yourself to actually believe that you will be a successful trader long term. Again, please ignore me if you're consistently profitable on this. I'm not talking to you, right? Again, if you're consistently profitable on SPX, it's an incredibly leveraged tool, so I don't blame you for doing it, right? Right? But the reality is that most of you aren't. Most of you aren't. Right? So this is fucking big to me, guys and gals. This is big to me. I cannot tell you how much it is frustrating to see sometimes, you know, the positions that people are putting themselves in, because and it's frustrating, not because I'm looking down on you, but because I fucking been there and I've done it. Everything that you've done as a trader, all the money you've lost, I've probably done it, but worse. Right? I probably did the same shit you did, but even in a more degen way. Okay, the difference is eventually I decided that enough's fucking enough, and I'm gonna change, right? Like if I'm really good and fucking focused and I really try and really fucking work at it, then I'll make so much money. So much money. If you have good habits as a trader, I harp on this in the room all the time. You have good habits as a trader, you will make it. You will make so much money. So much. It's just a matter of time before you get the screen time to go along with it. If you have bad habits, you are fucked, for lack of a better term. And this is going to happen to you over and over and over again until eventually somebody in your life dictates that it's enough and you got to stop trading. Because usually we're not able to make that decisions on our own. Usually it's a family member, a spouse, something who's like, you got to fucking stop or I'm leaving, right? Or I'm out, or I'm kicking you out or whatever. It's literally like a game, because it's a gambling habit at that point. It's not a real skill. I'd kick your ass out of my house too. I'd be like, fuck off. You're not just going to spend your whole life gambling. This isn't fucking fun. I don't like seeing you go through this kind of emotional goddamn pain. Right? And what is the best way, in my opinion, to prevent that? Cut that out from the source. Get SPX out of your life. Get it out. Get it out. Get it out. Get it out. Get it out of your life. Right? Again, at least, and I should rephrase this, because again, part of my head's like, I don't want anybody to think I'm talking shit about like any traders out there. I fucking love all, like, I've seen a lot, like, Unraveler does SPX recently. He's fucking goat. You know, Rippy does SPX. I'm not talking about either. I'm talking about you people who are trying to trade SPX on your own. They're professional traders. You right now are not. Right? If you're not a professional trader who's fucking trained in SPX, knows the ins and outs of SPX, right? Then you need to stop trading SPX. You need to stop putting yourself in harm's way, right? Doing it on your own. Trying to create your own trade ideas and trade. I'm sorry. I hate to be the dick to say it. I don't care. It's causing you FOMO, and it's going to cause you to go on tilt and fuck up at some point and blow your port. And then you're going to find another reason to blame it. XXX was happening. My strategy's not good enough. I'm not good enough. The market's rigged. It's like, no, bruh. SPX puts you on tilt. That's what happened. It is 8 people that I have talked to today from Instagram DMs and a couple as well from our room. 8 people. Not surprising, right? Given SPX's BS range chop here, not surprising that people got stuck in some bad trades, but to hear 8 different people went through either, I guarantee you, some of them tried to short and some of them tried to long. Some of them tried to short down here, some of them tried to long up here. That's what happened. Guaranteed. No idea about any of their individual trades, were guaranteed that's what they were though. 100%. Right? So here's my advice to you all. And this is something that I tell my room every single time we do a Zoom conversation. And if you're in the room, I'm going to fucking tell you again right now. Do you really want to be a full-time trader? You see me skateboarding around. You see me having fun, going to the beach, doing whatever the fuck I want. A full-time trader. My life is fucking sweet. It's awesome. In terms of freedom and all that, it's great. You want something like that? So I'm assuming that's why you're here. You're in this Zoom. You're following me. You're talking to me. I'm not trying to sound cocky. I'm assuming that's why you're here. You want that? Fucking show me. Don't tell me. Show me. How bad do you want it? Okay. Regardless of the fact that SPX made a crazy move yesterday, if your rules say no SPX, then today you better fucking not trade SPX. Right? Right? Like, are you just going to tell me that you want to be a professional trader? With no boss, ability to make how much you want, walk on everything the food rules will tell you anyway. I don't need to repeat that. You want to be a professional trader? Or not? Like, fucking show me. I feel a certain sense of responsibility, particularly to anybody who's done the mastermind, particularly to those of you who are my members, but really to fucking all my followers. That's why this one's not limited to the room. And I'm actually going to put this on YouTube. And rather than just keep it on the fucking Zoom link, I'm going to put it on YouTube. And I hope it gets a shit ton of views. And I'm not selling you jack shit. Could not care less if you come join. I do not care. Really, we got a great team. Don't need anybody new. Would love to have you. Don't need you. But if you're blowing ports, I need you to show me some sort of change that tells me I want to be better. Okay? And if it starts with removing the vicious beast that SPX is from your life, that's where it starts. And it becomes a no exceptions thing. Right? Every time you break the rule, not only are you breaking the rule, but you're opening yourself up to an even more dangerous thing, which is that rule break working. When you break a rule and it works, guess what? You're not going to stop breaking fucking rules, fam. Next time you break a rule, you're going to be like, well, last time it worked, so this time I'm going to do the same. Okay, well, you're going to blow the port again, just like you did last time, right? Just like I did 100 times. And I'm not trying to sound critical. You all are aware I lost 50 grand when I first started. I lost a shit ton of money. I am not speaking down to you in any way, shape, or form. And I really hope that that's not how it is being interpreted, because you know me. That's not my intention. And I would never try and do that, because I'm this passionate about it because I made all of these mistakes and worse, right? The amount of SPX contracts I have in my Tastyworks history that have gone to zero is embarrassing. It's genuinely embarrassing. I assure you, I have lost more money on SPX, maybe not more, but I have lost a lot of money on SPX. I can promise you that. Okay, so I apologize if I'm coming across as I'm demeaning or I'm talking down to you. It's just that for me, I want to see people make progress on this stuff, right? And making progress starts with rules and fucking following the rules. You are never going to get where you want to be if you have an inability to follow the rules that you create for yourself. Does not matter how good of a technical analyst you are. In the later half of my stage of trying to search and find consistency, right? I was, in my opinion, just as good at just reading charts then as I am now. Maybe better now because I just have more screen time, but not by much. Not by a whole lot. I was still fucking A1 at reading charts then. But I would blow the port every single time. I would lose. I would have not necessarily blow the port. I would blow the profits. I'd give them all back every single time. Right? You got to cut this shit out at the root eventually, or it is never going to change. Okay? So I'm not saying that you can never trade SPX. I'm not saying to never trade SPY. I'm not saying this. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you personally have had issues with it and routinely find yourself having issues with it, eventually you have to make that change or it's never going to stop. Right? Now, in this particular example, for me, what I'm referencing is that I don't trade SPX anymore. I don't give a shit like what the specific rule break or like you could be talking about any one of a million different bad habits that people have and have formed, right? You can talk about, and you can choose from X, Y, Z, be over trading, revenge trading, pick and plug whatever bad habit you want into the speech I just gave, and it still applies, okay? So I use the SB example because for me, that was a tilting one. And for some of you all, I imagine it is too. Doesn't actually matter the specific example. Okay. This is the first time in my career where I feel like I've given the harshest of harsh fucking tough love. I love everybody who follows me, because this is not just the group I use. Everybody who follows me on Instagram, I just wanted to hop on quickly. I love you all so much. I am so supportive of you because you are so supportive of me. You've been nothing but positive and genuine for me, you know, for my entire ride after creating this Instagram. And I want to try and help you as much as I can, but I want to be tough on you all right now. Fucking show me how bad that you really want to do this, as opposed to just telling me, right? As opposed to just trying to convince yourself that you really want to do this. Make the changes that you need to make. Okay? All right. Let me check this chat box real quick. Pop that out. Sorry, that was a rant. Peter is fucking the GOAT, man. For helping answer some questions all throughout this time. I love you all very, very much, right? I'm not trying to answer too many questions, but Jake, did you have a stop loss on the this? Doesn't matter whether you have a stop loss or not, right? It's like, unless you have a hard stop loss, which most people don't use, a stop loss is not going to save you when you have the ability to cancel that stop loss or ignore it, right? So yeah, I had a planned stop loss. I just didn't fucking follow them, right? And the reality is that the reason that I highlight SPX for that example is because it's super, how many times have you gotten stopped out on SPX, then it goes the other way, right? Or then it goes the other way, but not only goes the other way, goes the other way in a massive direction, right? Massive, massive direction. And you miss out from it going from $5 a contract to $50 a contract, right? So it's easier on SPX than than it is on other names to go on tilt, right? Much easier. All right. So highly, highly recommend that you look into switching towards. If you're interested in trading SPY every day, look at futures, man. Look at ES Futures, Investments LLC. Check out his Instagram. I'll post his reel to my story so you can check him out. Joel is the GOAT, man. So calm, so collected, so patient. And every day he's able to come in and identify some really nice futures trades in which he's trading the MEF. He's trading 5 to 10 of the micros, right? And he does less than a full. Yeah, sometimes he does full ESs, I think. But like, I don't know. Actually, let me rephrase. I don't know his position size. It's funny, to be honest with you. But anybody has the ability to trade multiple. Multiple MES contracts, right? And your risk was going to be significantly lower than if you were trading SPX, right? It's funny, Mason. Yeah, he could. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, G at all. All right, everybody. I hope you found this Zoom useful. I'm going to be posting this up to my YouTube channel a little bit later on today, once this is all done processing and all. Again, really apologize if I ever came across, sorry, Callan is tagging me in the staff chat, and I always have to be concerned that I'm talking about. Okay, sorry, Callan didn't realize, sorry, I'm on, I forget what I was saying. I hope this lesson was helpful for you. I hope this was, and I apologize if it sounded like I was talking down to you at any point in time. I really, that's not my intention at all. You know me, that would never be something, you know, that would never be something that I would intend to do intentionally, right? But I hope that this was a little bit of tough love and a little bit of reality slap for you all, that like, if you want to get to that next level, if you want to take the steps that you need to take as a trader, you're eventually going to have to make some of these big changes in following your rules, right? Whatever the rule might be, whether it's trade SPX, whether it's something completely different, and SPX has never been a problem for you. You're like, Jake, I've literally never experienced this. I'm fine with SPX. I'm always disciplined. Whatever the case may be, plug and play any rule into there, right? You need to start making the difference on following these rules. Otherwise, you'll never get to that next step. All right. Okay, everybody. I hope you all have a good rest of the trading day. I personally think the market heads back-ish up later to end the week, but who fucking knows? Cash will be supreme for me, except my dead CRWD position, which I'm going to hold because I am sized the right way and because, believe it or not, I actually think that this daily chart is not completely done yet. So we'll see what happens with that. But, you know, those are unrealized at the moment, but as close to realized as you can get. Meta paid the bills for the day, though, and that's really what ultimately mattered for me. So, all right, everybody, I hope you all have a good rest of the day, and let's talk soon, okay? All right, fam. Have a great one.